listed there. Might as well get over here. You see all the gifts of the Spirit listed there that are operating in a Christian's life. And you go up here to, let's see. Look at verse 9. This is what they had. To another, faith by the same Spirit. To another, the gifts of healing. Now we know what they had. Now they said, such as I have. What do I have? I have something that the Spirit gave me, and I'm going to give to you. It's not riches. It's not silver and gold. But it's the gift that the Spirit gave me, and I give it to you. Now what would cause them to have such a gift? You can see over here. In Acts 4. Let me go back here. In Acts 4. And look at 13. See what it says in 13. Now when they saw the boldness of Peter and John, perceived that they were unlearned and ignorant men, they marveled, and they took knowledge of them that they had been with Jesus. Now we know, don't we? They didn't have any money. They didn't touch this man because they was smart. They was ignorant and unlearned. They didn't have any way to bless him other than what God gave them, the gifts of the Spirit. And they gave this man that gift of healing, and it operated in his life and healed him. We know the story. So now we know what they had. Now we know where they got it. And we see the same thing over here with Mary. Martha chose all of these different works that she's going to do to help the people and to just do things that needed to be done. Nothing wrong with that. But when it come time to make a decision, Mary is the one that chose to sit at his feet. You see her another time. She saw Jesus and went and cried the tears enough to wet his feet and dried with her hair. You'll always find her at his feet. I can guarantee you, I never made a study on Mary and what happened through her life. But I can tell you one thing. Anybody that stays at his feet is going to please God. That's the reason Peter and John could say, rise up and walk. It's not their knowledge. It's not money. We can go out into the world and do a lot of things with money. We can do a whole lot of things. We can open hospitals. Good thing, like Martha was doing. We can open up hospitals and feed the poor. We can do all these good works. And God will reward you for being involved in those things. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Building churches, missionaries going out and building churches. But there has to be a time in their life and our life when we sit down at the feet of Jesus. Because you're going to find out that everything works from that point on. That is the center point of your life, is sitting at his feet. I'm kind of fussing at myself this morning. For years and years and years, we traveled all across the United States and Canada and around. Sometimes we'd have one-night meetings, one after another, in different churches, different towns sometimes. We'd do that for weeks at a time. And sometimes we had to stop and not have any meetings and go to a little church somewhere and let somebody else minister to us. Had to. And that is sitting at the feet of Jesus. If you don't do that, really, you're going to burn out what you're going to do. But I found this in Mary's life, and then I see the disciples. They took note of them, took knowledge of them, it says, that they had been with Jesus. I hope that someday somebody, I can just walk by somebody and they'll say, well, I can tell he's been with Jesus. Wouldn't that be a great thing to be said about you? You know, he ain't got no money. He's ignorant and unlearned. But I don't care if they said this other thing about me. If they took knowledge of me that I had been with him, that would satisfy me. But all these works, the things that we choose to do, because we are born again, because our nature has been changed, we will choose good things. And that's fine. But it's that good part that he wants us to choose first. Very simple message. But I'm trying to get a hold of it myself. And I appreciate you people. We shouldn't go and choose things and expect other people to give their life to the part we choose. It don't work that way. If Mary had left the feet of Jesus and went and helped Martha, she probably wouldn't be honored in this book like she is. And we're the same way. We can get involved in so many things and leave Jesus over to the side. And I can't say that they don't amount to anything, that they have no value, because they do. But we choose. Now he said, you have not chosen me, I choose you. We don't choose him, but we choose what we do for him. And I think that responsibility falls on every one of us. You divide things up in your life and you ask the Lord what he wants you to do. And if I've heard this before, you do what you know to do until you know what to do. That's the way you handle it. People have, years and years, I've heard people say, what's the will of God for my life? And you could only say, well, what do you feel? Or well, I don't know, they'll say. Well, what are you doing now? Well, I'm not doing anything. Well, you're out of the will of God. Well, how do you know that? Because you do what you know to do until God tells you what to do. And we're everyone in that place, every one of us. I'm up here making an effort to teach a few things. And I enjoy it, but I'm telling you, I learn probably more than you do. Because I have to go over these things over and over and over and over. But I can't expect anybody to take the part that I'm taking. And I can't take your part. Every person has to work out the will of God for themselves. And it's good that we can do that. Because if you don't choose the will of God for your life that he wants, then you'll be like Martha. You'll be troubled about many things. You'll get involved in things that can wear you out. And it's almost like we get this strange feeling inside that God's going to run out of time. I've got to hurry. God, he don't know what time it is. He don't know what has to be done, and he don't know that we got to get this built, and we got to do that, and we got all these things that we have to do. Oh, God just don't know. Really. He's holding all these things together. But I just brought this out, and I thought, you know, that's not the real heavy thing that a person could teach. I mean, you can get into Hebrew and Greek and get all these words and pull them out, you know, and just impress people by all this study and reading you do, you know. Everybody sit there really impressed and not learn nothing. You notice that? You can do that. I've sat and listened to people teach, and I think, you know, that's not for me. I love it, you know, appreciate it, but that's not for me. And knew it at the time. Some of you may be thinking that this morning. But the message is this: choose to spend time at the feet of Jesus. Choose to be with him constantly, that other people will take knowledge that you've been with him. You can get to the point that you're so close to him, it will come out through your conversation. It'll come out through your actions. You can't deny it. I've had that happen a few times. I remember I used to do CD production and record production. And I went over to this printer to have some things done. And the man that owned the place, he was back there talking to somebody. And I walked in the door and he said, "Shh, there's Dean." He was telling a dirty joke. And he said, "Shh, there's Dean." I thought, well, that's a badge of honor. If they just saw me coming and knew that I didn't want to hear it, that's a badge of honor, ain't it? So I felt a little bit like maybe there's something in my life that people would recognize. But that's the way I want to be. That's the way I want to be. I don't want to be troubled about many things. I don't want to be constantly trying to impress God with something. Constantly thinking that I'm behind. I'm not doing what he wants out of me. I'm just not earning my keep. It's almost like when you receive salvation and you got to do something because you don't feel like he paid enough. Really. You have to add something to it because, that surely he couldn't have paid for all the sins of every person in the world. Yeah, he did. You can't add nothing to it. Well, I'm going to hush. Simple lesson that I needed to teach myself. Now, if I was sitting out there, I would have enjoyed this because I needed it. If I had this on tape, I'd probably buy one and listen to it. Because I want to get to the place where one day I want to stand before him and him say, "Well done." And I know that's what everybody wants. There's only two options there. He says, "Well done, thy good and faithful servant," or "Depart from me." I don't want to hear the other one, do you? No Christian in his right mind, I don't think, would be a Christian long if they even thought about that happening. That Jesus would want you to depart from him. But I want to be like them disciples. I want to be like Peter and John. I want people to know some way that I've been with him. But the way to deal with that is you got to be with him. And you know how to do it? This book. When they said they took knowledge that Peter and John had been with Jesus, this was after he was dead and gone. See, he left in the first chapter of Acts. He left. He was resurrected and went up in a cloud out of their sight. So they could not say that he was with them in a physical sense, but something about them gave them the knowledge that he had been with Christ. And that's where the Christian people in this world's got to be. If we're going to reproduce after our own kind. I'll sit down. We got good singers. We got good preacher. Our little preacher's with us. So just get ready. She's going to set your fields on fire in a few minutes. Sister, have we got singing, and what have we got, honey? Or you want to come now?